I mean, I live in South City, and you drive down on River de Pere, and you'll see in the bricks the WPA symbol.
Right.
And what we didn't do, we took $1.2 trillion for the stimulus, but we didn't do shovel-ready jobs.
Would you have been in favor of those kind of things, maybe a son of the WPA, to put people to work immediately on public sector construction jobs?
Emphatically, yes. I mean, emphatically, yes. And I think places like Highway 21 in Jefferson County, they're desperate to finish the roads. Federal government has a role to play. I think you and I could talk about how big or small the role is. But public level infrastructure, I think we should have done that. We would have put people together. I mean, we built the zoo, we built the memorials. We should have said, and even during the WPA, we sometimes said, if workers need 20 hours each to build a 40-hour because we have 2 men that need a job, or in this case 2 men and women, we'll split it up. You get 20 each. I'm emphatically for that.
I find that fascinating because that seems at odd with your conservative views and the free market views on a lot of things. In what ways does an economic conservative say, all right, the government's the employer of the last resort, we have to spend money on shovel-ready jobs programs to create work?
Well, it's very simple. I believe the federal government has a role to play for the larger sort of efforts we have to do. I don't think that local communities can easily build a Mississippi River bridge. So that's something the federal government and our nation would benefit from. I think that's one way to look at it. If you clean up the Mississippi River with the ports in St. Genevieve or the Jefferson County port, that's something that the whole country would benefit from New Orleans to Chicago. And I think that's what the federal government can do. I don't think that's inconsistent. The question is when the federal government starts picking and choosing winners and losers down to the level of the Chrysler dealership in Crystal City run by Sam Ogle, and they shut him down, but they leave the one in St. Louis County open. That to me is what government shouldn't do.
What about the idea that absent more stimulus right now, that we could, and we talked a little about this before we went on the air, that the economy looks like it's heading, if not off a cliff, then to a level where this country has decided it can live with 9 to 10% unemployment. And I don't think we can if the private sector is not spending and if consumers are not spending. Wouldn't it be better then for the federal government to step in and make some sort of jobs program, or do you think we can live with 9 to 10% unemployment indefinitely?
Well, again, I don't think we can live with it, and I don't think we should live with it, and I think that everyone from Congress to the Missouri legislature should make it their #1 priority to think about the future of jobs. But here's what I would say, 2 observations. One, most people tell you that they're afraid of the uncertainty of the future, whether it's the stock market or cap and trade or new. I think first we need to stop trying to transform so much of American life. Just stop. And I think that's one reason why the House changing to the other party and having 2-party rule will sort of, in some ways, create a log jam and create some stalemate, which I think would be good for everybody for now. But the second thing is, we've spent so much money at the federal level. We need to be careful about saying, let's spend more. I was down in Jefferson County on old Highway 21 and M. Guy runs a pizzeria, and I said, what do you need? And he said, mostly what I need is let me keep a little more of my money, and I will go hire somebody or put in new carpet. He didn't say he was going to buy a boat or a jet ski. And I think we need to think about how can we create some, and I know it's tough because we have a deficit and we have a debt, but create some ways that people can keep more money in the short term, small businesses or whoever, and they'll spend it and find ways to invest. I think that would help.
If you were a member of Congress, would you vote in favor of extending all of the Bush tax cuts, including the tax cuts for couples making over $250,000 and individuals making over $200,000?
Yeah, I haven't. Here's my answer to, I mean, you're going to pound on me if I don't answer straight away. I think it's a terrible idea to raise anyone's taxes during this recession. I do think in negotiating in the House and Senate, they're going to have to figure out what they're going to allow to happen. I think there's some room for compromise. You know, maybe some of them don't some of them stay, kind of ending, and others. But I just think it's the wrong choice. When I watch those Sunday shows, Sunday morning talk shows, I yell at the TV because they sound like the money is in Washington. The money is Washington's are entitled to, and they're going to somehow let people keep them. I think taking more money to Washington, D.C. right now is a bad idea.
Well, off of economics for a moment,
Yep.
you've said a couple of things in your campaign. That one thing about President Obama and Congressman Carnahan somehow interfering with our ability to worship as we choose, and I know you caught a lot of fire for that.
Yep.
You fired back and say, well, wait a minute, here's what I meant. You stuck to your guns. Can you explain that in a nutshell, specifically how anything this White House or the current incumbent in the 3rd District have done that interfere with my ability to worship as I see fit?
Yeah, it certainly wasn't one of the clearer moments I've had in terms of saying something, but here's what I meant. I think in people's gut, they sense, and you talk to them, that government growing and government spending so much and taking over so many parts of our lives has had this effect of making you feel like things are growing out in tentacles into our community. My observation was that even of all the freedoms we have, one of the real special ones in America, one of the reasons we were founded was because we were getting pressured by a foreign power to pick the church and operate, was this freedom of religion. And all I meant was as government grows, we find our freedoms limited. And I will tell you, Charles, a few hours after I made that statement, the Obama administration admitted that Pennsylvania and New Mexico were receiving lots of tax dollars to fund abortion in their insurance plan. Now, we could debate that issue, but we were promised when Stupak caved on his amendment that Catholics and others who don't particularly want tax dollars to go to abortion, that wouldn't happen. That's part of our religion. It's not just Sunday when you worship or other days of the week. So
is this statement more a general metaphor than a specific thing where the Obama administration and Russ Carnahan are going to come in and interfere with literally your right to worship?
Yeah, I think it was also sort of, I was describing what the logical conclusion of a growing and kind of massive size of government could be. And again, I'm not sure it was said as well as it could be. But.
A final question then, as we go on in this election, I mean, obviously the economy is the big issue. There are all these sideshows that are just that, sideshows. What would, if you were elected, what would be the first thing you would do or propose in terms of creating jobs, which is the main thing that's needed right now? How would you go about that?
Well, the first thing I would do actually is what we talked about earlier. I would, and I'm no expert on the timing of some of these things, but I would say stop the stimulus spending that still exists and turn that money to shovel-ready jobs, real shovel-ready jobs.
In other words, create jobs
directly. Right, and I think we have to be very specific. We may have to ask the EPA and other regulatory agencies, without waiving the kinds of requirements that are safety-related or other things, to make it so we can get to the building faster. And let's take that money and put it on the streets, literally, and let our men and women go back to putting highways, and we drive the interstate highway system, and you say, boy, that is miraculous.
Are you sure that's not going to get you drummed out of the conservative economic wing of the party?
You know me long enough, Charles. I'm not in this. People ask me, are you running for this or that? I'm running to represent the 3rd District. We need somebody standing up. The future of my kids, our families, and especially our jobs is at stake. I think we need to do better and work harder and be a little more difficult, perhaps, with both parties to get that done.
GOP congressional candidate Ed Martin. Ed, thanks for coming in. A pleasure, my friend. Good to see you again. When the JACO Report returns, a look at what some are calling drive-by justice and the crunch in the public defender's office. Is it a manufactured crisis, or does it end up threatening some of our more basic liberties? The JACO Report will be right back.